Hey guys, it's Stevie. I am one of the members of Risen Hope Church, and we this past week with the coronavirus and everything going a little bit crazy out in the world, we had a virtual live stream, and I had a few people ask me how we did it and how we got to look so good, and a bunch of other questions about how this process all works. I'll be switching back and forth between my phone and a screen capture. So I'll just walk you through kind of the steps of the stuff that I did to make it look the way that it did. So first, I just put together a page which showed a is starting soon or please stand by, so that people knew that the stream was about to start. This is just an image of our logo. So you can see if I go here and I add image, I can add a new image on here, and that is fairly painless. You just pick an image and then you can scale it to whatever you want it to be. So you can see now I've got duplicates because I already had a Risen Hope image, but we'll delete that. And then you can see here I can scale it to whatever size I want it to be, put it wherever I want it. Then you add a text, and this one's a little bit trickier because when you add the text in, it by default is going to be white text. So I'll say, hello, it's me. A reference to Adele. And so now if we go to filters, we can add a new filter and add a color correction. Color correction lets us change the color of the image or the text that is shown, or even the video as the case might be, to let you do some manipulation on your video to give it the exact right coloring. So what I did here is I just dropped down this contrast so it's a gray color, and then I click close, and then now you've got please stand by, hello it's me, is starting soon. So we set up one that was originally we had one set up for technical difficulties. So this said, please be patient with us while we solve our technical difficulty issues. And then I had another one that's basically the exact same thing that said stream is starting soon and thanks for worshiping with us this Sunday. So you can make a different scene for each of these. It's very simple to duplicate it. You just go here and you click duplicate. And I'll call this one going live or live, or we'll say starting. And we can put here, go to edit, stream is starting soon. And right there. So then, nope, that one's not visible. I swapped it out with the other one. But it's basically the same process. And you can see you can adjust the size of the text in here. If you want to change it to change the font, you can do that. If you want to change the size, make it a little bit smaller, make it italics if you want. You have those customization options available to you right here. This is now smaller. Thanks for worshiping with us this Sunday. So I could have had that there instead if I wanted to. But that's kind of these basic screens that you're going to want to have set up ahead of time for the stream's about to start. The stream's about to, thank you for worshiping with us. We're experiencing technical difficulties. But you'll also probably want to do that maybe impromptu as the stream's happening because you don't want to cut out the audio. Or one thing I would recommend here is make sure that your audio devices are set up on each of these pages, and you can drag them all the way down if you want. But that way, if the video is not working, for example, which happened to us this past Sunday, you can switch over the technical difficulties and you'll keep your sound. I'll walk you through how to get that in just a second, but you'll want to have them on each of these things so that you'll keep that sound available to you. That's my recommendation to you. So you can go to this please stand by technical difficulties and they can still hear the audio being played. Because a lot of times your audio feed tends to be a little more consistent, video is a little trickier. Sometimes it can cut out, or you could even have internet issues and the video might not be coming through clearly. And then, so the scene, you're going to want to have, I hit everything on this page apparently. I don't know why that's there. I don't want to. We don't want any worshiping happening here. So you can see I put an image up at the top. That's our logo. I've got a text box down at the bottom right, which I used for our web address at one point. I used it for the verse that we would be reading that day. All that stuff, all that good stuff. You can see here that I have a window capture and a siphon client. And these are this is how we're getting the video and the lyrics up on the page. So the siphon client is how we're capturing our video. So what we used for our Sunday services, we used a DSLR. We had a USB, I have a MacBook Pro, one of the new ones. So I have a micro USB, and then I had a converter to a regular USB, and then you need something that you're going to need an audio interface. I'll show you that in a second. But in order to get a DSLR to stream correctly to your to OBS, you're going to need to use the Siphon client, and you'll need to download Camera Live. So let me pull that up. Camera Live, it's right here. It's on GitHub. Version 002 Camera Live, and if you scroll down, there's a releases page. You click the releases page, and you can download either the zip file or and it will have so it has support for Mac, which is what I needed. There are other options for this. You can do a little bit of research if you're using Windows. There are definitely other options. I ran into a couple of them when I was trying to figure out how we're going to do this. But this worked for me with Mac. The DSLRs can be a little bit finicky because they're not really designed for this, but it did work fine. So what you'll do is you'll open Camera Live, and it will say no camera because I don't have one plugged in right now. But the gist is basically you'll plug your USB. You'll need a AV in or AV out, which here I'll show you a picture of that. DSLR. You'll have these ports on the side of your camera. Yeah, it'll look like this, similar to this, where it's got this little like kind of a weird shape. It's like not quite a square, but here's a good picture. You'll have something like this probably if you're using a DSLR, especially an older one. So you'll want to take this and plug the USB into your computer, and then once you do that, it should register that camera in Camera Live, and it should pop up right here. And you just click on it; it'll be ready. You can then go to your OBS. And choose a source, and you can choose that from your sources should be the Camera Live. In my case, it was the Canon EOS 7D, and that will give you your video. And then you might need to scale it and stuff. Do a little bit of scaling with the I showed you earlier, dragging it around to make the size correct. But that's the gist on that front. And then the other thing, which this is probably the more complex part of the tutorial, is this Microsoft. So what I did, and this is a little bit of a hacky way to do it. If you have ProPresenter or whatever like that, something like that, you can do this a lot easier, and you can use it with this real streaming, something that's better designed for church streaming. But for free, you can do this, which a lot of churches don't have just a lot of money going around. So this is how I did it for our church, impromptu, short notice, and it was free. Which we used everything, all the things we used, we already had. We set up the camera on like a podium thing, for example, and it worked great. But so for the lyrics and the quotes at the bottom of the screen, I have this window capture. I'm gonna add an image in here. I know I've got one in here somewhere. If I go to downloads, I know I've got one. I just want to show you it. It's not going to be super clear unless there's something on the background. So we're going to go ahead and just drag that over there. The order of precedence in these things matters. So this is on top of everything right now. We don't want that. We want it on the back. I'm using essentially as a background. So we put this all the way back here. We've got a window capture. And currently the window capture is not capturing anything because I don't have PowerPoint open. When I open PowerPoint and I open to the slides, you should see now I've got this black window here. And if I were to flip through these slides, you'll see I've got the lyrics, which is what you guys were seeing on, if you looked at the live stream we did on Sunday with Risen Hope Church in Drexel Hill, this is what we did. We would flip through these. If I pull this over a little bit, you'll see that psalm thing is from elsewhere. We'll remove that guy. This one. As I flip through the slides, you'll see the lyrics appearing at the bottom of the screen, letting our members sing along, hopefully without having to pull up the lyrics for themselves on their phones, which nobody's going to want to do. So, or probably will forget to do, or they'll, there's a number of things that could happen as far as lyrics, but it's good to give them, just to do it for them as much as possible, so that all they have to do is pull up the live stream and it's all handed to them, hand delivered, wrapped and sealed and tied with a bow. So you see how it's pulling that in from the PowerPoint. If I were to minimize this, it's not going to appear anymore. It'll disappear. And the reason for that is basically I'm using a live capture on this window. You should probably be presenting. I wasn't on Sunday. You'd need to make sure it wasn't a full screen present though, because you still want to be able to see stuff, make sure everything's working correctly. One of the things I highly recommend is having a separate device watch the stream, and I'll show you that in a minute. Even if it's just pulling it up on your phone and setting it next to your camera so you can see what the audience is seeing. And we'll do the same thing with audio in a second, but we haven't really gotten there. But you can see how this is flipping these in here. And you can see it'll actually move around a little bit if I move this around. So you're not going to do that during the service, but it's fine. So the window capture is actually capturing this entire window, the Microsoft PowerPoint. And then I'm using a filter, a crop effect, and then I'm telling it how much of that window I want to see. So if I change this to 000, you'll see it's showing the entire window now. And that's the entire Microsoft PowerPoint. So I figured out the dimensions that would let us just show those lyrics. And then I made that change. So that way we wouldn't have a whole bunch of stuff just popping up. So you can see, like, if I'm like, oh, well, there's too much showing, just add a little more to it, and there you go. And then, oh, this bottom is not quite right. Let me fix that. So I go to 200 or whatever, or 240, 250. There you go. Now the little thing at the bottom isn't showing up. So you get the gist. It's not super complicated. It's just a matter of making sure that you have it lined up correctly. I'm basically using this tiny little bit of the screen of that entire window, and I'm using that to present lyrics. And later you'll see Tim, this past Sunday, our pastor Tim Shorey did an entire page of quotes, which was lovely. I mean, it was a wonderful quote, but it was really, really long. Oh, actually, I didn't save it, so it's not in here. But I did an entire page of quotes, so it was just like we had all the different lines of the quotes, and I had a little bit smaller text in the lyrics. Yeah, you'll get the gist there. I kind of set those up while we were still in service. So you'll see the logos up top there. You've got this right here. You should be able to, if I disable this, you can add text. So there were some things that I did while we were still in service. I grabbed this, and if I recommend changing this one right here. If you go to properties, you can change this. You can just go in here and you can say, all right, I would actually recommend leaving this here. Go and type what you want somewhere else, and then copy and paste it, and just go like, I want this, which is how I opened 2 instances of the app so I could record and stream. But yeah, and then it'll just pop up at the bottom, and then you can just drag it to wherever it needs to be, which is a little bit distracting, but less distracting than them watching you type it. So yeah, there's probably a better way to do that. I think one of the ways you can do it is you can set up a source file. You can read from a file and you can choose where that file is, but I haven't done that yet, so I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly how that works. But then you should be able to just save the file, and when you save the file, the text should update. You still will probably have to reposition it, unless this is locked to a specific scale. One of the things that I would recommend is when you're in your service, lock these windows. If you're not going to be moving them around, lock them down so that they don't get dragged all over the place. Because like, oh no, I'm dragging the background. Like, oh no, the camera got pulled off. Click that lock button. It won't do that anymore. And then the other component that we haven't really touched yet is the audio. So you can see I've got a bunch of audio captures. I don't actually need all these. I was being a little bit, I still haven't figured out how to actually remove these audio inputs, but I'm just gonna hide them because I don't want to see them. But yeah, so we were really only using one audio input. So we were connected directly to our soundboard. We had an XLR cable out of the soundboard, and it would plug into an audio device. And here I'll switch over to my camera. But basically, you'll want to go into your advanced audio properties. You're going to have an audio interface. So if you go to your properties, this is set to my actual input. If you go to your properties, you can see that you have a list of devices here. You'll want to pick it. You'll want to have an audio interface and choose that. And then you want to plug your soundboard into that audio interface. And I can show you what that looks like in a second. But that's the gist. Is basically you're just going to set up you'll set up an external audio interface and plug your soundboard output into that audio interface. If you don't have a soundboard, you can get a microphone, whatever works for you. But we plug directly into our soundboard. We just had an XLR run out of it and plug into an audio interface. And then as far as checking, you're going to want to monitor and hear what it sounds like. I had my headphones on for most of the stream, and I was listening to the output to make sure it wasn't peaking, to make sure things weren't going wrong. You'll just go to monitor and output, and then you can listen to it. If you do monitor only, it's going to mute the external audio, so you're probably not going to want to do that. But yeah, so that'll let you listen to it. I recommend having that on for pretty much the entire service, and keeping an ear to what the people out there are actually hearing. One other issue that we encountered that I forgot to mention, and that was that the Scarlett 2i2 USB, I'm going to minimize this because it's incredibly distracting. This input, whatever audio interface you're looking for, you may need to go to MIDI on Mac. I believe on Windows, you just want to go and disable. There's some settings you can disable in the properties that like are enhance audio quality or something like that. You should be able to Google it if you encounter this issue. So what I encountered was that the rate that it was reading it in was too high, and it was really messing with it. So you may need to go in here and change the format from the format to something that is either lower or higher to match the input that you're reading into your computer. So the exporting signal for the one that I was looking at was 4800. And the signal I had it was at 44.1. So it was actually speeding up the audio and raising the pitch of the audio signal to my device. And so I had to change that real quick to the correct one. So if you encounter that as an issue, that's probably your solution. I think that's pretty much the only other issue we encountered besides just the camera being a little bit of a pain in the butt. But if you guys encounter that, I just wanted to point that out, that sometimes you have to go and you have to change the rate at which it samples your audio input. So in the midst of trying to cover everything, I realized that I missed something. So one of the things you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to make sure that you have your OBS set up to stream properly. So in your stream, you're just going to go to the stream tab. You're going to have whatever you want to stream to. It could be YouTube, it could be Twitter, it could be Twitch, it could be whatever you want it to be. So we were doing it to Facebook Live. You need a stream key, which is basically going to be the key that tells OBS where to put it and whether or not it's like a secret basically. If you're familiar with programming, it's a secret, and it will allow you to interface with the platform that you want to stream to and the account that you want to stream to. So that stream key is important to make sure that you include. You also want to make sure your output's good. Make sure that it's set high enough that you'll get the quality that you want, and same with the audio bitrate. Those are just adjustable right here. I think I increased the bitrate for our stream, but ultimately Facebook only lets you have up to 720p anyways, so it's not like I gained too much out of that. So you'll want to go to Facebook, and you'll want to go to your particular profile, and I always Google it because I can never remember how to get to it, but stream live Facebook, and yeah, facebook.com/live/create allows you to create a live stream. So you can just choose the live streaming software. We're using OBS. You connect to whatever profile or whatever you want to stream to, and then you broadcast. We were doing Facebook Live. I don't know what this is. Let's try Live Producer. Sounds cool. Yeah. This is what I think I was using. Yeah, this is what I was using on Sunday, was this Live Producer. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to grab the stream key from your profile. which will be a really long digit code. This is my personal stream key, but that should let you go ahead and stream to whatever you want to do. You just copy that stream key from your live producer settings, and then go ahead and stream whatever you want to your church, or whatever group of people you're trying to stream to. So that's essentially the gist of how you go live. You'll want to change this to a page you manage probably, or a group. So in my case, it might be I managed my artist page. So I might want to stream to that, and that'll have a different stream key than my stream key. And you'll give it a title. You say like going live, or Sunday worship service, or whatever you want to call it. And then you'll say something about it, like a description, just like a Facebook post, and say, we're going live in 10 or whatever, whatever you want it to be. You can also cross-post it to pages. You can choose who you want to see. You can make it a certain age. You can set the locations, whatever you want to do. I don't know what this is for setting your game, which we're not worried about in this case, but you can also schedule it so it goes live at a particular time. As soon as it has a live feed, which I don't have it set up right now, so it's not going to have a live feed. Once I start streaming, it will actually appear up here. So it's not a bad idea to have a second laptop or whatever to view and see. It'll show exactly what it looks like from my local, what everyone will see out there, because this is actually receiving. It's not getting it directly from my application. It's streaming it through the internet to this page. So this page will show you exactly what it will look like to the people watching your stream. Just a quick note: if you're having problems with your stream not working correctly, one of the things you might want to look into is just the delay, because you can customize the delay. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but if you add a little bit of delay, it'll give you your stream time to catch up when it has bumps on the road in your internet. Always best, if you can afford to be on Ethernet cable rather than Wi-Fi, but not always an option. So hopefully this helps. Essentially, so then you'll have it set up. So we can switch over now, and I'll show you with a camera kind of what the audio interface looks like real quick. This is kind of what you're going to be looking for. This is a Focusrite audio input Scarlett Focusrite box, and this is a nice one. You don't necessarily need one that's this nice. You could probably get one for 25, maybe 40 bucks on the internet. But basically, you can see here how I've got an XLR input right here. So I can plug my XLR directly into this. I can change the volume if I want to, decide if I want it to be a line or an instrument. I can actually monitor the audio directly from here. And you've got a gain here. But essentially, and then I have enable. You're going to want one with phantom power probably, so you can plug it directly into your computer. And you can see it's just a USB input. It plugs in. I have a converter because it's USB-C. And then you'll have this, your input go into here. It'll read that signal through into your computer. And then this is where we were just looking, and you'll see you've got your input. And you'll go to Properties. You might need to install a driver to get it to appear. You probably shouldn't. Most of them are plug and play. But you'll want to grab your device and choose the right one. So I've got my Scarlett 2i2 USB because that's what I'm using as an audio interface. And essentially, that's pretty much it. That's what we did for Sunday. Getting your DSLR to work is probably going to be the most obnoxious part. So, yeah, hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this is useful, and it blesses some people, and it lets them have church for themselves. But that's what we did for our Sunday service, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.